is a miserable spring day. It's cold, pouring rain, which means only one thing: great day for soup. Now I should point out, this is one of my favorite things to make. I have tons of soup recipes. This one I just actually found not too long ago. I've made a couple of small adjustments to it. So let's show you what we're doing. So this week we're going to be making broccoli cheddar soup. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to bring up a pan to medium heat. Nice thing about the induction burners is they heat up really quickly. So anyway, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little butter to the pan. And we have about 3 tablespoons of butter here. As I say, this is one of my favorite things to make. I've been making soup probably since I could start to cook. We have a bunch of family favorites. As I mentioned earlier, this is a newer recipe for us, but it was really tasty. We've made a couple of small adjustments to it just to make it even better, we hope. So the first thing we're going to do is get this butter melting. Once we have the butter melted, then we're going to throw in 1 carrot diced. And you can either use an onion. In this case, we had some shallots kicking around, so I'm going to use shallots today. So I've used 1 shallot, just about a medium-sized shallot or so. If you don't use shallots, you want 1 medium-sized onion. And we'll just let the veggies get a little translucent. This also calls for some garlic. Generally speaking, I like to add the garlic really, really close to the end. That way there's not a chance of burning it. And it still gets enough time to cook to kind of mellow it out a bit. So our shallots are almost there. We'll just give them another minute or so. So once the onions are about a minute away or so, we're going to go ahead and add the garlic. We're going to be adding 3 cloves of garlic, which in this case adds up to about 3 teaspoons or so. A little extra never hurts. Oh, I wish you could smell this now. And we'll just let that cook for another minute or so. All right, so once that's cooked down, I'm just going to deglaze with about 1/4 cup of white wine. That doesn't have to be exact, just somewhere around 1/4 cup. I just want enough to kind of get the bits off the bottom, and then just let it cook down in about, I'd say about half, maybe a little bit more. Okay, so once you've got your white wine cooked down to about half of what it was before, this step is optional, but it will make the soup a little bit silkier when you're eating it. So we're going to add 1/4 cup of flour and just cook that in. You want to cook the flour long enough that it browns up some, or you're going to get kind of a floury taste. So I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but once you kind of get that kind of cookie smell coming from the flour, you're probably just about ready. All right, so at this point we're going to add 3 cups of chicken broth. We'll do it slowly just to keep the flour from clumping up. All right, and once you've got it totally combined, we'll just let that come back up to a simmer again. Should only take a second or so. All we're really doing here is just heating up the stock so that you're not dumping a lot of cold ingredients in all at once. It just tends to heat up a little faster this way. So once we've got the stock heated up, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to add a teaspoon or so of Dijon mustard. Give that a stir, make sure it's good and incorporated. Next is 2 cups of heavy cream. We're using heavy cream here. Once again, you can use milk, but this will give it a much creamier texture, obviously. You don't have to worry about adding the cream slowly. Once the chicken stock gets the flour incorporated, then you're not going to have a problem anymore. All right, and once again, we'll just bring this up to a simmer. Just remember, give it a stir every now and again just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. Okay, so once you brought it back up to a simmer, then you're going to add 2 cups of cheddar cheese. You can use old cheese as well, which is actually a much better flavor. When you're adding the cheese, same thing as the milk, the chicken broth. Just make sure you add it slowly so that you don't end up with cheese clumps through your soup. So just take your time, doesn't take very long, but if you take your time, once again, no clumps, much nicer to eat. Okay, and once the cheese is incorporated, we're gonna go ahead and add some broccoli. So we're gonna add 4 cups of chopped broccoli. So once that's incorporated, we'll just give it a bit of a stir here. And we'll just let that cook for probably 3 or 4 minutes, just till the broccoli's tender. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on it. It'll just speed the process up a bit. Then we'll have a look in 2 or 3 minutes. All right, so we've been, I don't know, about maybe 4 or 5 minutes, a little bit longer than what I said before. And we should be ready to go. So let's have a little peek and just see how we're doing. Well, actually, I'd say that the broccoli isn't quite ready, so let's leave it another 2 minutes or so. We'll see how it is then. So the garlic's cooked, and at this point, I'm just going to add a little bit of freshly black ground pepper. We'll give that a bit of a stir. I'm not going to add any salt until after I taste it. That's really good. I'm not going to add any salt. It's salty enough. Most of the salt from the cheese, that's way enough for our family. So I think we'll call it there. Let's put it in a bowl and we'll give it a proper taste. So let's get a little of this into a bowl. Okay, so once you've got your bowl of soup, generally what I do is for a little garnish, we'll just add a little bit more cheese on top. And then just a little tiny bit of fresh chives. All right, so now that we've got her all in a bowl with a little garnish on top, let's give it a final taste, see what we think. Oh, watch the cheese, you can get everywhere. Hot. Oh yeah, man. Oh, that is so good. So that's our video for this week. I hope you liked it. Let us know down in the comments what kind of soup you like, and maybe we'll do it on a future episode. I can tell you, I'm really a soup fan. I love to make it. I love to eat it. So remember, if you haven't liked this video already, take a minute, like the video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you haven't shared the video, I'm sure you must have a friend or two that likes soup, so give it a share as well. And we'll see you next week on Then We Eat. So remember, first we cook, then we eat. So good.